So, many of you may know me for my Backwards Lap series, and given how successful it's been recently, I thought I'd just make a compilation of every single Backwards Lap I've ever made, because I made a playlist with all of these, but it got 0 views. So, I thought I'd just compile them all together in one video for ease of use, from Austria in March to Abu Dhabi in December, so hope you enjoy.
Why is Austria backwards actually good?
Here we go.
So now, as we head down the main straight for the first time, albeit backwards, we're going to get ready for this lap. So a little kink before turn 1 coming up, drop to 4 into 2, and then flat all the way around 3 here, as we're heading up the hill this time instead of down. Turn 4 flat as well, drop a couple into 5, just coast it around there. So we climb back up the gears now into 6. Oh, dropped a bit low there. That one's gear 5.
Yeah, I'm fast as fuck, boy.
Hard braking into 7 here then. So we coast down and oh, little snap there. And once again climbing the gears up the hill. Ready for the hard braking of turn 8 coming up. Little lock up there. Just coming around down the hill this time for the longest straight of the track. Climbing the gears 6, 7, 8. And then once again hard braking for turn 9, which is for us last corner, and we're done.
Nice.
Australia backwards is so cool.
So
here we go.
So here we go then, for the backwards hot lap of the Melbourne circuit. Coming up to turn 1, we drop down to 5, 4, 3, 2, as we go into turn 2, missed the apex a bit there. Turn 3's flat-ish, small lift, drop again down to 2 into turn 4, and then big acceleration onto the straight here. Climbing the gears 7, 8, dropping again 5 round here, then flat all the way back straight again.
Yeah,
climbing the gears back to 8 now. So heavy braking into here down to 4, and back up the gears once again before dropping them once again onto 4 there, down, you can keep it quite high there, and down 3 through there, and we're getting into the last sector of our lap now, as we're coming up to the final couple corners. Braking early, could have carried a bit more speed there, and that's the lap.
China backwards is insane.
Here we go.
So here we go then, for our backwards lap of China. Obviously the Chinese Grand Prix this weekend, none of them are going to be doing it backwards. So you've got to chuck it into our turn 1 here, before this comparatively short run up to turn 2. Tightens, clip that apex, and then just climbing the gears onto this incredibly long straight. 7, 8.
A few moments later.
Yeah, I'm fast as fuck, boy.
A few moments later.
And then throwing it into this left-hander of turn 3, as it just tightens, but you don't know when. Clip that apex, bring it into 4, climbing the gears for this short straight once again. 6, 7, and then dropping them, don't drop down to 3 for this, coast it around here, be careful on the throttle, before climbing the gears flat through these corners. Still flat, and then dropping the gears now, hard braking. Oh, missed that apex, but then climbing them once again onto this straight, before dropping hard, once again hard braking, coasting it around there as it tightens once again, and then careful on the throttle as we accelerate out of our final corner onto the main straight. And there we go, that is a backwards lap of China.
Nice.
Buddy is literally quitting on the person way. Literally hitting the person like quitting.
Japan backwards is mental.
Here we go.
Here we go then for the backwards lap of Japan, as we're heading down the long straight now into the long lasting turn 1. Hard on the brakes for turn 2. 3, just glide it around, back on the power coming up to 130R, which is our turn 4 here. Completely flat through 130R, and then long old straight here. As we come on, fling it round turn 5, drop a couple gears, just edging track limits there, climbing the gears again, coming up to the hairpin of turn 7 now.
Yeah, I'm fast as fuck, boy.
Hard on the brakes for turn 7, coast around the hairpin, missed the apex a bit there, that was a poor run. Back on the power, coming into turn 8, drop a couple gears, coast it through there, there's no curb so we're running on the grass, climbing the gears again, flat down the hill here, coasting it around there, dropping a couple gears, and now the whole of our sector 3 is just climb the gear, drop the gear, climb the gear, drop the gear for the rest of our lap here. Dropping to 4, climbing to 5, climbing to 6, drop, drop, drop for our final corner here, as it's flat through here, DRS open, and there we go.
Hooray! Nice.
Subscribe. Can I beat the 2025 Bahrain GP pole
So
lap?
here we go then for our
Going
backwards
back.
lap of the Bahrain circuit. Dropping to gear 3 here for turn 1, could have probably taken that in 4. Climbing the gears again for the back straight, now our first straight I guess. 7, 8. Now we're dropping gears once again for this corner that opens on the exit. Using all the curbs there as we're flat down the hill here. Flat for this right hander, and then dropping the gears once again here, easy to lock up there, using all the curb once again, coming along here, hard braking now down to gear 1 for this tightening right hander, and now climbing the gears, trying not to spin out, nearly spun out there, back up 5, 6, 7, hard braking once again into the left hander this time, drop to gear 1 just to get the rotation in the car, and then back on the throttle up the hill here, flat left hander, flat right hander, and then once again hard braking as we drop to gear 2. Could have probably taken that in gear 3, but we had a little snap of oversteer before we climb the gears once again for our back straight. 7, 8, flat left hander, drop into 4, drop once again, all gone very deep there, and then climbing the gears once again back onto the main straight, and we're done.
Hooray!
Very nice work, thanks everyone.
Can I beat Oscar Piastri's 2025 pole time? Going
Here
backwards
we go
inside
then
F1
for
to
our
4.
backwards lap of Imola inside F1 24 as we come down the long old straight, DRS open, coming to the line just about now. And we come into our turn 1, I forgot the name of this corner, flick it through gear 3, climb up to 4 and flick it around turn 2, climbing up the hill again
I'm fast as fuck,
towards
boy.
turn 3, the chicane here, as we flat all the way through here, hard on the brakes down to gear 1, could have probably carried a bit more speed there. and climbing the gears once again down to Aqua Minerale. It's literally the only corner I know the name of on ML. Flicking it around here, using all the curves, flat up the hill now, and then flat around this right hander, hard braking once again down to gear 3, 4, 3. Could have probably kept it in 4 there, but oh well. As we go down the hill now, although once again hard braking into the right hander of turn 7, and then flick it around turn 8, drop it, and then we're coming up to the last chicane here, flick it around there, gear 3, climbing again 4, and then flat out back all the way down the pit straight to the line once again. And there we have it, a 120.7. Oh, that was a shocking lap. Tune in at Monaco, see if I can beat that pole time.
Can I beat the 2025 Monaco pole time? Going backwards in F1 to 4.
Here we go then, as we come out of Sanderbot to start our backwards lap of Monaco. Timer starts now as we come into this corner, hard braking left-hander, nearly hit the wall there as we come into the Raskas, completely missed the apex, and then flat, drop a couple gears and swing it through the swimming pool section, flat all the way down here now until here, can't remember this corner, drop a couple gears, go through. Now coming up to the bus stop, hard braking down to gear 1, slinging it through here, careful of that jutting out wall, and then flat all the way through the tunnel before hard braking just as we come out, fling it all, a bit of a snap there, fling it through that corner, and then up in gear 1 now up to the hairpin as we climb up the hill now, and then blind corner here, just drop to gear 1, sling it round up the hill, watch out for the bump that I've just gone over before we sling it through the casino section, and then just careful through here before we go flat down the hill back into Sanderbot before hard braking down to gear 3 to Sanderbot, round our last corner, down the pit straight, and there we go. That is our backwards lap. No, we've got battered once again. Of course we lost, because I suffer from a severe skill issue. Tune in next week, see if I can beat them. So here we go then for our backwards lap of the Circuit de Catalunya in Spain. Obviously we're still in F1 24 because I'm broke and I'm still on a PS4, so that's long, but here we go then, as we go. Just a small lift up the hill for turn 1, drop to gear 7 through turn 2, and then hard braking as we just edge it around turn 3 here, early on the power, flat through here, and then hard braking once again as we just drift it through turn 5, back on the DRS, back on the power, and then coming up here we're going to drop a gear. We were quite conservative through there actually, we could have probably taken that flat, and we take this one flat and then hard braking, just coast it around there before we go flat up the hill once again before this hard braking of this hairpin, just bring it round uphill here, it's quite a hard acceleration zone before we then go round this long left-hander that tightens, go a bit wide there, and then back on the power, and then we're going to be flat all the way through this next left-hander and drop a couple gears for this penultimate corner, drop a couple gears for the final corner, back on the power, use all the curbs, DRS open, and there we have it. That's our backwards lap complete. And no, we can't. We've got battered once again. Oh well. Tune in next week in Canada to see if I can beat that one. Can we beat the pole time from the 2025 Canadian Grand Prix but going backwards inside F1 24? Here we come then to the line to start our backwards lap here at the Circuit de Villeneuve. Hard braking for this last chicane as we just flip it over early on the power as we get a good exit down this back straight. Coming up now, long old straight before the hard braking of the hairpin coming up, and now, oh my god, bit of a rear lock in there, down to gear 1, hard on the power. Just climbing the gears once again as we come down towards our second chicane. Hard braking, just flick it through. Careful of that wall on the exit. We're going to tap into it. And then back on the power for our third straight now of our lap. For braking once again, just ease it around here. Drop a gear into here, just flick it round, back on the power. Down yet another straight here at Canada. Drop a few gears, flick it round into gear 3 now. Back on the power. Before we just quite a slow corner, we've had a bit of locking up there. And then back on the power down here as we come to the line. Can we beat George Russell's pole lap? Can I beat the 2025 Austrian Grand Prix pole time going backwards inside F1 25? Okay, as we come towards the line, we're going to flick it left, drop 4 gears before going flat up the hill, round turn 2, using all the curb on exit there, and then climb into gears 7, 8, we flick it flat left, and then hard right, dropping 3 gears, gone a bit wide there, but we're going to use all the curb on the exit, before flicking it right once again, careful not to spin on exit here. And then as we come up to the second heaviest braking zone on the track, hard braking, all the curb, flick it round. Oh, snap on the exit there, but we're going to keep going, climbing the gears, DRS open. Coming up to the heaviest braking zone on the circuit, where we're going to use all the curb once again, hard braking, flick it right left. Gone a little bit wide there, but we're going to use all the curb once again on exit. DRS once again open, climbing the gears once again. Towards turn 1, our last corner. Hard braking, flick it left. Coming towards the line, see what we get. And there we have it. No, we can't. Oh well. Tune in next week at Silverstone, see if I can do that one. Can I beat the pole time for the 2025 British Grand Prix going backwards in F1 25? Okay, now as we're coming down the Hamilton straight in the Red Bull of Max Verstappen, obviously, he just put it on pole here in the 2025 British Grand Prix. Drop to gear 3, flick it round, club, back on the power, climbing the gears up to, can't remember what this corner was called, flick it round, hard on the power down the hangar straight now, DRS open, as we're coming up to Beckett's and then Maggots, flat around Beckett's, but then drop a few gears. I had a little bit of snap on exit because of the curb, flat all the way through Maggots. I was on the run down to Cops now, climbing back to gear 8. Is Cops flat? We're about to find out. Cops just about flat as I had a wobble through there, DRS open once again. Flat all the way down here as we come down to gear 3, just flicking it round, careful on the power not to spin. Flicking it through. Climbing the gears once again, 7, 8. As we're coming down into Abbey, Village, flicking it round, gear 3, hard on the power, flick it round, and then flat from here all the way to the end of the lap. And oh my days, we've had a shocker again. We've actually got battered. 4 seconds. I'm retiring, bro.
Can I beat the pole time for the 2025 Belgian GP going backwards in F1 to 5?
Okay then, as we round La Source to begin our backwards lap, you'll see climbing the gears now, DRS open, coming into the last chicane, the bus stop chicane, even tighter backwards than it is forwards. We're going to flick it through here. Now hard on the power, climbing the gears down towards Blanchemont. We're going to flick it flat through Blanchemont. Just flat all the way through this sector 1 section. All the way down to here. We're going to drop a couple of gears as we flick it through here. Used a bit too much curb there. Now down to gear 3, flicking it round here. Early on the power. Coming up round this little tricksy section. Back on the power, coming up to Pouhon. Is Pouhon going to be flat? We're about to find out. Absolutely. Just a little lift. Climbing the hill now. Hard braking into no name corner. Flicking it round, climbing the hill still. Flicking it round here. Still we're climbing. Coming up to this little section. We're going to flick it round. Climbing the gears down the camel straight now. Now, as we come to the end of the camel straight, we're going to find the question, is Radion and Eau Rouge flat backwards? What do we think? Yes, it is. Absolutely flat. What a corner that was. Now, hard braking into La Source again, once again. Can we beat the lap? 1:45.34. Is that enough? Oh no, that's abysmal. I might have to retire. Can I beat the pole time for the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix going backwards inside F125? Is Hungary faster forwards than backwards? Hard braking down for turn 1 here. Just going to flick it round, gear 3. Careful on the power here, but now fully on as we just edge it round here. Ooh, bit of a snap on the exit there. Just going to flick it round here as we head on to the back straight. Wheel in the dirt there, that's not good. Flicking it around here. Flat all the way through here before dropping a couple gears. Yeah, this sector 3 is quite nice, fast and flowing. Just gonna drop down to gear 3 for the gear 2 for the chicane. Almost dipping a wheel in the grass there. Flicking it round here. Now hard on the power. Small lift for this corner, just to make sure we make it. Gear 7 now, coming up to here. Flicking it round. Dropping down to gear 2 as we climb up the hill now. DRS open. And now hard braking as we come into turn 1. We go a bit wide, but that shouldn't matter as DRS is open once again and we come to the line. Are we going to beat the pole time? 1:21.5. What's Leclerc set? 1:50. Oh my days. Can I beat the pole time for the 2025 Dutch Grand Prix going backwards inside F125? Okay, so right now as we come down to our backwards turn 1, Zandvoort's going to be an interesting one because I don't know a single corner name on this track, but I'm sure we'll get through. Currently backwards heading towards the banking. Obviously this is the last of our official backwards tracks in F125. Flicking it round in gear 5 before we come up to the stadium section. Hard braking, dropping the gear close to the curb as we're going to flick it around here. The walls close so quickly on exit there as we get the DRS open for the second time here down towards this fast section. Flicking it through here, gear 4-5, and we're going to drop straight back down to gear 3, flick it through here and then climbing the gears, careful on the curb, flicking it almost flat round here before we get into this incredibly fast flat section, this roller coaster part of Zandvoort. All the way down here, climbing a hill into the second kind of bank corner, flicking it round on the racing line, climbing the gears as we now close towards turn 1. Hard braking as we come round. We're going to get DRS open once again, and can we beat the pole time? Let's see. 1:12.8. What's Piastri set?
Lovely. Peaked at the right
oh
time,
no.
some may say.
Be sure to tune in next
fun.
time. Is Baku faster forwards or backwards? Let's find out. So this is, can I beat the pole time for the 2025 Azerbaijan Grand Prix going backwards inside F125? We got there in the end. Now we're coming all the way down the straight through the flat section any minute now. DRS just closed. Flat left again. Is this going to be flat right? We're going to have to flick it in. Nobody saw that wall hit. Scrappy lap already. Hard braking before we just flick it in right as we now climb the hill. up to this hard braking zone, which is one of the hardest corners on the track. We're just going to edge it round, hard on the power, nearly spun on traction, and then flicking it all the way around this flat section again. All the way around. Where's this corner? There it is, hard braking once again, flick it around the apex, and then down the castle section. This is the crazy section. I love these corners. But now we're going to hard braking. This is the second hardest, the hardest corner on the track. And we're going to just about make it through and get on power. And then hard braking once again as we flick it around here and there. And then we're going to be on the power now, all the way down here. This is a left-hander. We're not going to turn right like I did in one of my practice laps. And now we're going to flick it right again, all the way down the straight, reaching the end of our lap here now. So yeah, once again we're going to do hard braking, flick it right once again, back on the power once again, up to the final corner, flicking it through,
Not another one.
hard on the power, DRS open, and have we beaten us Max Verstappen's time?
Yes, guys.
Oh my days, 8 seconds off. That might be the worst one yet. So yes, Baku is definitely slower backwards. Can I beat the pole time for the 2025 Singapore Grand Prix going backwards inside F1 25? Okay, here we go then as we head down to turn 1. Hard on the power, DRS open as we start our backwards lap of the Marina Bay circuit. Flick it through this fast complex and then hard braking down to gear 3 through turn 2. On the power again before we're going to slam the brakes for this chicane. All the way over the curb. We've gone a bit deep there, but we're just going to flick it in. Back on the power, back on the DRS. Down this back straight. Little kink there before we're going to slam the brakes. Flick it left. Watching out for the curb and nearly clipping the wall on the right. Hold on the power once again. Down to the hairpin. And then we're just going to slam the brakes, flick it through this tightening hairpin. And now through this bridge section. It's getting very tight now. We're just going to drop a gear, flick it around, nearly clip the wall. And then back on the power, back down the straight before this hard right, 90 degrees right. So we're just going to flick it around. Oh, we bumped the wall a bit there. Hopefully that's fine. Just going to drift it a bit around there. It's getting sloppy now. But we're going to flick it right again. Back onto our last straight before we head down, back down to the starting complex. On the power. Going to once again slam the brakes, coast it left. And now we're just going to coast it around, flick it through, hope it sticks. We've got a bit wide. We're going to be back on the power. Back down here and coming down the straight, DRS open. Have we done it?
Pole position.
Oh no, not again.
Yeah, and I've got.
Can I beat the pole time for the 2025 US GP going backwards inside F1 25? Okay, so here we go then at the top of the hill as we start our backwards lap. We're going to just send it down the hill now, DRS open, climbing the gears. Now normally I record this in the pole positions car after quali, but for whatever reason this weekend I'm doing it before, so I'm just going to guess that a Red Bull, so Max Verstappen, will be on pole this weekend. Here we go then, flicking it through these first 2 corners, quite medium speed corners before we climb the gears, trying to send it flat all the way around here. We're going to have to lift a little bit, but then we're going to slam on the brakes as we flick it in to this hairpin. A little bit of a slide on the exit, but we're climbing the gears once again before we just curve it, edge it around here. Flick it onto this straight before we've got kind of another 90-degree turn before the long straight, the back straight. DRS open once again. And we're just going to go all the way across the straight. All the way down to yet another massive braking zone, stamping the gears down to gear 2. Oh my word, what a drift. Properly drifted it through there. We might need a replay on that one. Now that is what I call absolute cinema. But now, forgetting that, as we climb the hill, send it in it flat around here before we're going to slam the brakes, flick it through here. We're into the trickiest section backwards now, as we try and navigate our way through all these S's. Just edging it through, climbing the gears now. This bit I believe should be all flat, let's hope it is. Fully commit. As we now climb the hill and prepare to, once again for the last time this backwards lap, slam on the brakes. We're going to have a massive snap of oversteer into turn 1, and we're going to DRS open back down the hill once again. Have we beaten the pole time? Of course we haven't, but to be honest, that was kind of expected, wasn't it? Especially with our little drift in there. But 2.5 flicker-ins, that's pretty good. Can I beat the pole time for the 2025 Mexican Grand Prix going backwards inside F125? Okay then, so as we round the final corner, or turn 1, and we're going to open DRS, get the ERS blasting, because normally I do this in time trials, but this time we're experimenting. I'm going as Max Verstappen because I predicted it last week, and I predict that Verstappen will be on pole again this week. So we're Max Verstappen and we're in quali, so that means massively we have ERS this time, unlike normally in time trials. So we're just going to flick it around turn 1, flick it into turn 2 and 3 in the stadium section, probably the hardest section on this track. We're going to drop a gear and send it round onto the straight. Now the S's, the first S is flat, but we're going to have to drop 2 gears because, as we discovered in the intro, this one is not flat, but the rest of them should be, before we just flick it in gear 5 around there. Now hard braking, we're going to, oh my god, we've drifted it around there, that was close. We're back on the power and we're going to slam the brakes again. We've gone a little bit deep there, but we're going to cut over the curb, back on the power, back on the ERS, and we're just going to send it down this straight before we're going to slam the brakes hard once again, drop down to gear 3, send it over this curb, drop to gear 2 as we send it over that one, and now careful on the power, but now we're going to flat out, DRS open, drain the rest of the battery all the way down to the line and see what time we get, see if we can beat the pole time for once. ERS empty, and there we go. Have we done it? Oh, it was Lando Norris on pole, and no, we've missed out by about 4 seconds. That's not too bad though, like in relation to my other ones, but we'll try again in Brazil. Can I be the pole time for the 2025 Brazilian Grand Prix going backwards inside F125? Okay then, as we now come up the center S to start our backwards lap. This can be a tricky one, because I'm not that good at Interlagos, especially not backwards, but we're going to get the DRS open, the ERS pumping, as we go all the way down this straight, down the hill now, flat around here, right through that Alpine, and then we're going to slam the brakes, careful not to lock as we saw in the intro, sliding through the corner. We need a replay on that, but now we're going to send it up the hill, and then hard braking, flick it round, and back on the power, down here coming towards this right hander. We're going to drop to gear 3, we're going to just launch it in, slingshot it round, almost lost it on the exit, and then we're going to flick it into here, nearly went wide on the grass. We had to brake, we lost a lot of momentum through there, but now we're going to foot flat to the floor, flat all the way down here, ERS up again, and then we're going to just a little lift round here before we slam the brakes, flick it round, just about staying clear of the grass on the exit there. But now we're going to go through all these cars, go straight through, coming back towards center S, little lift there, and now we're going to slam the brakes down to gear 3, just about make the first half of it, then back on the power, back on the DRS, drain the rest of the battery and see what time we get. Come on. What's Norris set?
A bit more tense.
Is it 109? That's not too bad. Can I be the pole time for the 2025 Las Vegas Grand Prix going backwards inside F125? Okay, here we go then, as we just spin it round to start our backwards lap here at Vegas. Now we're in the dry, so we might actually genuinely have a chance this one. All we need to do is not mess up this lap, as we're flat all the way down here, use a bit of battery, but we're going to save most of it for that long back straight. Now we're going to slam the brakes. We've got a bit early there, but we really don't want to go wide and hit that wall. All the way around, there's really no room for error going backwards around Vegas, because there's no runoffs, it's just walls. But now we're going to drain the battery, DRS open, all the way down this straight, and we're gonna be on it for a hell of a long time, I'll tell you that one. But nearly at the end. Now we're going to absolutely slam the brakes, send it around, clip that curb, back on the power. Lewis Hamilton's just come through us. That was interesting. But we're just going to come all the way down here, round down towards the sphere section. Gear 8 now, slamming the brakes, flicking around, just about clipping that apex, back on the rev limiter, all the way through this chicane bit by the sphere, bouncing over the curb, back climbing the gears once again round before we're going to get to this 90-degree left-hander. Slam the brakes, flick it in, back on the power. We could have probably stayed in gear 3 there, but doesn't really matter, to be honest. DRS open, drain a bit of battery, and then we're coming down and we're just going to have to properly flick it into this right-hander just on the limit of grip there. Sending it around here now towards the last corner. Just going to drop the gears down to gear 2, clip that apex, back on the power, drain the rest of the battery, and have we done it? 136.0. Have we done it?
No one else got the lap.
147.9. Oh my days!
He's done it!
Oh my days. You could say I cheated because I did it in the dry when it was a wet quali, but I'd say tough. Now, next time I guess we've just got to see if we can beat it in equal conditions. Can I beat the pole time for the 2025 Qatar Grand Prix going backwards inside F1 25? Okay, so now as we round the final corner, we're gonna get DRS pumping, rear wing open, and straight down this long old straight. I don't know how long it is, but it must be the longest on the calendar apart from Mexico. We're gonna use a bit of VRS, and then we're just gonna flick it into turn 1, clipping the apex round wide. That was actually a really good corner, quite proud of that. And then we're just gonna flick it right into turn 2. This last sector is just going to be a lot of flicking it in and hoping, to be honest, hoping we get the grip as we just send it around these corners, coming up to our first proper braking zone apart from turn 1. We just slammed the brakes all over the curb there, just about got away with that, sending it through these S's, and then we're going to slam the brakes again round, coming up towards the hairpin now, I think. Yep, coming up towards the hairpin, we're going to smash the brakes down to gear 3, clip the apex out a bit wide, back on the power. This is just a decent lap so far, you know. As I say that, bit of a wobble there, but absolutely sending it around, a minute on the clock. Oh, that was not a good corner.
That's quite
and neither
big.
was that. Oh, we were so wide. Oh, we've bottled it in the last sector. Can we make the last corner? We're just going to clip the apex, back on the power, drain the rest of the battery, DRS back open, sending it down. 123, is it going to be 125 or 126 or 120? Is it going to be 126 or 7? It's 126.94. What's Piastri set? 119. Oh my days, I need to retire, man. 7.5 seconds up. Check out how we do in Abu Dhabi next week. Can I beat the pole time for the 2025 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix going backwards in F1 25? Okay, here we go then to start our last backwards lap of 2025. And you guys are going to have to let me know, like, should I continue this series? It's been my most successful one, but obviously 2026 the cars have been completely different as we just flick it through turn 1 and turn 2. All the way flat around here, we're going to use a bit of battery before we slam the brakes through the Latifi corner, flicking it through, bit of track limits there, but the FIA didn't see that. Just sending it around here, down to gear 2. That's the slowest we've been all lap, but back on the power here, flat all the way down. We're going to burn through some more ERS before we just send it around here, try and carry as high minimum speed as possible. Before we've gone miles off. We're in a Porsche pit exit. That's not ideal. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, this series has been my most successful by far. So whether you've been here for a while or this is your first video, I just want to thank every single one of you for helping make my dream a little bit closer to reality. But now sending it through the chicane, hard braking, back onto the straight, we're going to drain a lot more of the battery. DRS open for the first time, I'm pretty sure. Before we come up to that corner. Back on the power now. We're going to try and drain the rest of the battery. This left-hander should in theory be flat, just about, I think. This one's just about flat. Yeah, I was about to say this is going to be a last attempt to beat the pole time, but we are nowhere near, I can tell you that one. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 129 or 130. Yeah, well,
Go, guys.
122.2. Fair enough to the lad. 7.4 seconds off. Oh. Also, thank you for watching. If you're still here at the end, make sure to comment W series in the comments below. And thank you so much. It's been a hell of a journey. And I'll see you guys next time.
Literally hitting the person like pretty.